Hello, my name is Astrid Diaz Cabrera, and I am a postgraduate student of the Masters in English Language Teaching at the UAP. And today I would like to share with you my advances of the master's thesis. The thesis is named The Monetization of English Imperialism and its Implications for ELT Professionals, and my thesis supervisor is Dr. Michael Thomas Whitman. First, I would like to explain how my presentation will be divided. It will be divided into 5 main parts. First, I will provide a brief introduction where I will give a brief overview of the issue in question, then the rationality of my study, its purpose, and the research questions. Then I will provide a brief theoretical background where I will talk about some very important literature to my study. Then I will talk about the methodological orientation that my study will have, the context, the participants, and the data collection. Then I will talk about the approach that I will use to analyze my data. And finally, I will provide some expected results. Well, first, I would like to start with a brief overview about the topic. Crystal and Noonan agreed that one of the prevalent discourses in the spread of English is that it gives unlimited access to the wonders of the modern world, such as science, technology, money, international communication, entertainment, among several others. According to Foucault, these discourses that present English as a beneficial tool for economic improvement have been distributed and continue circulating thanks to those who hold power. However, some critical scholars question the widespread ideological view of English as a tool for gaining individual economic opportunity and instead argue that the spread of English is part of a wider social, political, and economic process that contribute to economic inequalities. Pennycock refers to this phenomenon as the structural power of English, and for him, its implications and its causes are a covert and subtle type of imperialism. Thus, speaking English is promoted worldwide as a credit card to success, and Mexico is not exempt from this trend. So the rationale to this study is based on the notion that English is a prerequisite to economic success has become so prevalent in postmodern Mexico. In response, an industry has emerged with a focus on allowing people to meet this prerequisite and pass through the filters that provide them with the opportunity to fill positions where the economic gain is more likely. Nevertheless, the institutionalization of the need for English is not a morally neutral state of affairs, and many actors in the profession of English language teaching, in the field of English language teaching, could be unwitting accomplices in language-based repression, discrimination of professionals all over Mexico. Thus, if Mexican professionals are indeed the subject of discrimination based on which language they speak or do not speak, a better understanding of how English imperialism is institutionalized in Mexico is necessary. So an increased awareness of how English imperialism is nested within popular and institutional discourses may allow ELT professionals, particularly those who profit from these discourses, to practice with increased consciousness. So while studies do exist on how English imperialism functions in non-English speaking societies, no such study has examined the institutionalized discourses that permit these practices to function in Mexico. Consequently, this research could raise awareness and reflection about the supposed necessity to learn the English language conveyed through the discourses of advertising English learning. Furthermore, the focus on how these discourses can be monetized to profit a particular group of service providers make the study innovative, with the potential to contribute to the field of critical discourse analysis. Consequently, the purpose of this study is twofold. First, it is intended to explore the discourses that have become prevalent in manipulating non-native speakers of English into believing that English is a gateway requirement for economic achievement. And second, it is intended to determine the degree to which ELT professionals are aware of the processes of English imperialism and the role they play in its monetization. So the research question that will guide this study will be 5. First, what are the characteristics of popular discourses that ideologically define English as a necessity in the postmodern world? Second, what are the characteristics of institutional discourses that ideologically define English as a necessity in the postmodern world? Third, how do the aforementioned discourses intertwine economic prosperity into the ideology? Fourth, how do institutions who profit directly from these discourses further promulgate their ideological messages? And fifth, to what degree are ELT professionals aware of the processes of English imperialism and the role they play in its monetization? So I would like to provide now some literature relevant to my study. First, one of the topics that I am analyzing is English as lingua franca. Lingua franca is a language, an international language that is used for communication. It is present in science, technology. It's present everywhere. And nowadays, English is known as the lingua franca for excellence. So the matter with English being at the lingua franca all over the world is that it may marginalize other languages, particularly where English becomes dominant at the expense of indigenous languages. So this is what Pennycook, what Phillison calls English imperialism. He defines it as the dominance of English is asserted and maintained by the establishment and continuous reconstitution of structural and cultural inequalities between English and other languages. So since the study will be focused on analyzing these inequalities that exist between the people who speak English and the people who don't, and analyze how the discourses that those who hold power share with the rest of the world, then the critical discourse analysis will be the approach that will be used, because it focuses on relations between discourse, power, dominance, and social inequality. And its purpose is to criticize connections between properties of text and social processes and power relations, which may not be evident to people who produce and interpret text. So the methodology that I will be using, first of all, it will be a qualitative study, and it will be CDA, which is critical discourse analysis, will be the analytical tool that we will use. Second, the context will be the national, regional, and local language policies that exist in Mexico. And I will be analyzing local schools and their promotional materials. Then the participants of the study will be these language policy documents and the promotional test that belongs to these schools, and also the interviewees that will be students, professors, stakeholders, the principals of these schools. Then the data will be collected, well, first of all, through the collection of the language policy documents that exist in Mexico, and through interviews to the policymakers, stakeholders, language teachers, and learners. So the data analysis, as I already said, data will be analyzed through the critical discourse analysis. Because this approach focuses on describing and explaining the relations between form, the grammar, the morphology, semantics, syntax, and pragmatics of discourses, and the function of this language, how people use language in different situations to achieve an aim. So the expected results, I don't have any results up to now, but I am expecting to shed light on the impact of the discourse of English as an international precursor to status, economic success, and social mobility. Well, the references that I use for my study are the following. Well, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions or comments, I will gladly answer them.